All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the InPower Coffee Break. We have this every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. I'm Mary Brody, and I work with Dana Theus on the InPower Coaching site. And for our InPower Coffee Break, we usually cover women's workplace issues, emotional intelligence at work and corporate culture, and basically how to survive and thrive in the workplace, as well as women's empowerment. And today we're going to be talking mostly about women's empowerment through belly dance. And we have Sausan online, and I'm going to do a quick intro to her in a second. Just so you guys know, Dana will not be on today. She is away at a conference. But before I get started and introduce our guest and begin the interview, I just want to invite you into, when I invite you into the conversation, which will be in a couple of minutes, we're going to do a quick 5-minute interview so you get to know Sausan, and then we're going to open it up for discussion. And I hope you will continue discussing either online or through chat to ask your questions and offer your opinions. So if you want to join the call, just click the call-in button and I'll bring you in. So today we have Sausan. She's a well-known classic Egyptian style belly dancer and teacher in San Francisco. She has been belly dancing since 1972 and has been formally trained in Flamenco, Sevillanas, Thai classical dance, English Highland, and Scottish dance, including the Scottish sword dance. She specializes in Egyptian dance, Raqs Sharqi, its culture, cuisine, arts, and history. She teaches Egyptian dance using a unique method called the Egyptian Dance Code. Arabs will also often ask Sausan students if they learned belly dance in Egypt. Her method is true to the culture and how she hears the music is revolutionary. Colleagues and I consider her to be one of the best teachers, and not because she is my teacher, but because she can teach almost anyone to dance, or as we say, she can even teach the devil to dance. She has produced and directed dance performances at the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco, the Golden Gate Park's Recreation Music Concourse, the Ethnic Dance Festival, Stanford University, the Egyptian Consolate, the Phoebe Hearst Museum of Anthropology at UC Berkeley, and more. She is also a member of a number of Arab and cultural organizations in San Francisco. And additionally, as almost like a side note, she is a veteran of the U.S. Navy and danced where she was stationed around the world. I think she's the only dancer, to have ever danced in Antarctica. She also owns Al Masri Restaurant and Bitch and Baklava, which is excellent. I'll just add that. And I'm very proud to have my good friend Sausan on the show as our special guest today. So welcome, Sausan.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So to get started, tell us what you teach and describe your method.
Okay, so I teach something called classic Egyptian style belly dance. And it is something that I got through observing the Egyptians in their day-to-day life and what I have established as the Egyptian dance code. And it's the expression that they use to communicate in daily life. And I noticed how it was transferred into the dance. So it's very much an Egyptian style of dance. And you can see that sort of Egyptian dance code through all of the classic Egyptian style belly dancers, especially on the movies and all the ones all the way up through about 1990.
Wonderful. Now, you also been teaching students for a number of years as well. And what have you noticed with students and their style and also themselves and how they change when they take classes from you?
When they start taking classes from me, I'm not quite sure what their esteem is like, but when they go through at least the 1-year program, their whole entire image of themselves changes, and you can see it in their eyes, and you can see it in their face, you can see it in their dance, their sense of accomplishment, their sense of self-worth completely turns on.
So, do you want to share a story of what you've observed or what you've seen, or a story or two, some examples?
And of course, I've seen this in yourself. They, at the end of 1 year, when they do their debut at my restaurant, they have this sense of accomplishment, and it's almost as if they can't stop in pursuing what else that they've always wanted to do in their lives. Some of the gals go on to, for instance, climb the corporate ladder or climb their business dreams like you have. Others decide to make life changes in their regular everyday lives, and some of them have actually gone so far as change their lives in pursuing dreams on their own without, in other words, they have the courage to do things that they want to do. It's just a very life-changing way of looking at yourself after you finish doing this dance.
Now, there's a lot of aspects to the dance, I know as well, from going through your program and dancing, and I think a lot of it has to do with body image, and how you view yourself, and femininity, and your posture, and image and power. So I don't know if you want to speak to that, maybe starting with what you've observed in Egypt with how women stand in their power versus the U.S., and some of the comparisons or differences and what you see in your students as they go through the program.
Well, I'm sorry about that. Well, in Egypt, there's not, the stigma of body image is not the same as it is here in the United States. Over there, they don't have to be skinny, or they don't have to really follow any kind of dietary program or anything. What they are is what they are. And when they get up to dance, and a lot of these women are not the image that we hold dear here in the United States. They're pretty exotic, they're pretty heavy, and they get up and they dance and they enjoy themselves, and they don't have any kind of image of themselves having to be some way. They get up and they dance. And a lot of the times here in the United States, women that are overweight, or if they're very skinny, they have this body image that more or less tells them that they can't do this kind of dance, because it does expose a lot of flesh. It does expose a lot of cultural or expression. And so here in the United States, when we get up and we're a little bit overweight, we have this idea that people are going to think that we're fat or that we're too skinny. Well, over there, it's not that way at all. They'll don on a little skimpy costume and they'll dance, and they'll think that it's the best thing ever. So over here in the United States, when I try to teach this dance, I try to get these women that are a little maybe overweight, or maybe a lot overweight, or some that are thin. And I tell them, this is not about what you think your body is. It's about accomplishing something that includes your body, so that you look like a beautiful woman doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and that's dancing with the Egyptian dancing this way. And a lot of them just they get to the program, and all of a sudden the whole image of their body changes, and they love themselves, and they get out and they dance. And it's not about getting out there and dance and saying to themselves, well, I don't care what the public thinks about me, I'm going to do it anyway. It's more like, I love who I am, this is who I am, and I can do this dance. And quite frankly, the ones that are a little bit overweight, or a little bit more than that, get out there and they more or less transcend the dance, because they're doing it the way that the dance is supposed to be done. So people don't see them as this huge, fat lady. They see them as this beautiful, amazing female that has gone through this program and has gotten out there now, and they're doing this dance the way it's supposed to be done. And they see the dance and they see the dancer. They don't see what's around, the bones. They see the dance and the beauty of it, and how this woman is expressing herself through this dance.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I can see the connection when you start loving your body, how you also love yourself, and it helps you. I know personally it helped. Well, we've talked about this 400 times before, how it's helped me personally to accept me as a person, and also accept my femininity. And I don't know if you want to talk a bit about that, because I know that's another big subject of belly dance, because you are dancing with your hips, with your chest, with your shoulders. You're moving and shaking it all around in response to the music. So you have to embrace your femininity, so to speak, and because you're not hiding. And I think sometimes in American culture, we stand a little, our posture isn't like up where we're pushing out. We're a little like this, right?
Well, yes. When you do this dance, it sort of releases you from who you think you are. And in Egypt, because more or less they have different set of standards there, and they basically have a male counterpart there to basically protect them. They have the opportunity to basically express themselves more freely. Here in the United States, we dress up and we go out and we're all lifted and we go into a bar and men will talk down to our chests, right? And we want to say, well, look up here. So we tend to stand with our arms crossed or guarding ourselves in the top part. Here in this dance, it liberates you from that. It kind of sort of takes you away from hiding yourself and putting yourself out there so that you move these parts that you have to move when you do this dance. It's basically, and I'm sorry to say this, it's basically kind of sort of a tits and ass dance, but not really, because you're doing it within the confines of the Egyptian cultural standards. So it really liberates the female to embrace who she is and to hug herself basically with everything that she's got and to show that to her public in this dance form. And it's an amazing transformation.
Well, and it's something too, also to bring up with at least Raqs Sharqi, when you perform, you're dancing to the women. I think it's a misnomer. Everyone likes to think, oh, you're dancing for the men. And if anything, I know when I used to do this, part-time professionally, I used to get the tips from the women. The men might give them to me, but the woman told them how much to give me. It was all about the women. It was never about the men.
That's correct. And, over there, women do dance for women. They're basically, they're covered up before they go to a party. And these parties are, I don't know, maybe it's more modern now, but these parties were segregated so that the women always danced for the women. They would take off their overcoat or whatever, and they would get out with all their finery, and they would try to outdo each other in dancing. So it is very much a dance that should be expressed towards the women primarily. They're the ones that should be, looking at the dance. And a lot of the women that are in the audience also look at the dancer. And these women in the audience may be skinny or they may be overweight. If they see a dancer that's out there that's overweight, they can relate to that. And it totally turns their idea about what belly dancing is. And a lot of them will eventually take classes because they want to overcome that stigma of being overweight is not good, psychologically.
Yeah, and you've witnessed that with your girls. I shouldn't call them girls because they're all women, but you've witnessed it in your classes.
Oh, most definitely. I've had a couple of gals that are, they would be considered probably obese, but once they get out there, you don't see that they're even carrying any weight. They're beautiful women and they express themselves, and I look at them in awe and my jaw drops, and I just wonder, where did that come from? That woman did not come in this way, but she's leaving in a way that it just is amazing.
Great. If anyone wants to join the conversation, feel free. I'm going to be continuing to talk to Sausan, but please join in and call in or ask your questions over in live chat. We have a caller.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Sausan.
Hi, Priyanka. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad to hear the conversation going on.
Do you have any questions so far?
I do have a comment based on my personal experience. Sausan, it's exciting to hear your insights. I'm more of a Zumba enthusiast, so I can speak from my experience doing Zumba as part of my fitness routine. I think it's a great way to embrace yourself and have the confidence that you are great in your own skin. No matter how you look, what kind of skin tone you are, you just feel great being in front of the mirror in the studio and just embracing the other folks around you. And I think it's also a great stress buster, just being out there away from everything else, away from your digital smartphones and the rest of the world, and just embracing who you are, and just the community of people who are in there together to live in that present moment and enjoy those moments. So that's been my experience in any kind of dance form. And it's a great self-confidence tool. That's how I see it. I've never been any kind of a dancer all my life. And I remember vividly when I did my first Zumba class, I was in the last row because I didn't really want to see anyone. But then I've gradually moved towards being in the front row, because after a point, it's not about how great your dance moves are. It's how well you enjoy yourself. So that's a quick comment that I had for you.
Well, thank you. You know, I have one gal that I'm not going to tell her name, but she came in because she had never had a dance class ever in her whole life. She was brought up not to dance. And she's from the Middle Eastern part of, of the country. And she came in and she didn't think she was going to be taking the whole entire program, but she did. And she actually did her debut a couple of weeks ago, and she thought she would never be able to do it. Now, granted, she didn't know the movements that well, but she kept in time with the music, and the look on her face was amazing. And this woman is around maybe late 40s, early 50s. She's overweight a little bit. She's had a couple kids, and she's a single mom, and she just totally she can't even stop talking about it to this day. And now she's attending other classes that I also offer, which are, listening to the music. And she just cannot get enough of it.
So great to hear that experience.
Yeah, I think what you
have lots of experiences that way. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great to hear, Priyanka, like your experience with dance, because I know once I got comfortable with my in my own skin, so to speak. That's when not just I did better at dance class, but it was like the rest of my life kind of opened up, so to speak, because you're comfortable with you, right? I don't know if you want to share experience with that. I know Sausan, you have lots of experience with that too.
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, for the longest time, I thought I had to be this, 120 pound or 110 pound, beautiful mannequin looking person. And I went through life really frightened about, gaining a couple pounds. And, this dance for me really transformed how I thought of myself. And because of that, I joined the military. I went all over the world. I danced in all the bases. And then I quit my postal service job. I was making a whole bunch of money there, but I thought, no, you only have one life. And then I joined forces and opened up my own restaurant. And then I realized, it was kind of like an epiphany that I am who I am. And if nobody likes who I am, well, tough for that. I have to do what's true for me. And then I decided to teach that to other women through belly dance. And it has been really, really transformational for a lot of these women. They come back for more. They look at themselves in the mirror. They're dancing. They're moving their arms and their shoulders and their hips and their chest and just enjoying every part of themselves. And they all look so amazingly beautiful when they do that.
Sausan, I do have a question for you. This is my personal experience as well. How do you find the happiness quotient in people after they finish your dance class? Because from my personal experience, I feel a lot more happier. I see a lot more smiles, not just my face, but everybody else in my Zumba class after you spend that 1 hour working out. How do you think it's affecting the happiness quotient of all your students in your class?
Well, of course, they all leave happy. But one thing that differs from the classes in belly dance, the way I teach them, as opposed to maybe Zumba, is that I don't allow, and I'm sorry to say this, I don't allow males in my class. And the reason for that is because men have a tendency to have a lot more upper body strength. So a lot of them can do a shoulder shimmy a lot better than a woman can do, a female can do. And so when that happens in a class, I can see that women will stand back and feel that they're not good enough to do even a shoulder shimmy. And of course, we're the ones who should be doing the shoulder shimmies because we have a lot more to express, right? So my classes are conducted female only, and I don't have any of the male stuff happening in my classes, although we do refer sometimes to the males because I have to teach them how males teach males, because it's a whole different way of teaching when you have males in classes. So at the end of the class, of course, there's this amazing camaraderie that happens in the class, and women are supporting each other, and they love each other. There's no backbiting, there's no backstabbing. And when I think that there might be something happening because someone is doing a movement better than another, that person that's doing the movement a lot better will turn around and say, well, you know, I've been in this class for maybe a year longer than you have. You will get there. Don't worry. It will happen to you too. So there's a lot of support in the classes that I teach, and a lot of happiness that comes out of it too. There's a lot of hugging when people leave and they can't wait to come back.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, I know from any type of physical activity, I know I always use that as a gauge. It's definitely a confidence booster. If I have a rough day, I know I'll go to the gym and, it's a rough day. I got yelled at a lot during the day. Well, hey, I can do 70 push-ups. Or like with belly dance, right? I can be like, hey, I can at least perform to this piece of music for 15 minutes.
I think it really helps you, Mary, because there's something that you look forward to at the end of the day, and that drives your entire day. Psychologically, I think it really helps.
Yes, all of my students, they can't wait to come back the next day. I'm serious about the ones that are really serious. There is part of the stance that I teach in the tertiary class is how to listen to music. There's a part in the music that I call the soliloquy. It's also called taxium, and taxium means improvisation. I call it soliloquy because in this part of the dance, you have to stand there and basically express yourself. And if you're used to a choreography, this part cannot be choreographed. And when I teach this part during the tertiary class, I basically have to tell them, this is the part that's going to make or break you, because this is the part that you have to dig down deep into your soul to bring out. And you can't hide yourself from this part. It's a part that really has to be exposed through the audience, or through yourself to the audience. And you have to make it real and true for yourself. And then that way the audience can connect with you in doing that. And if you allow that to happen in yourself, and this is hugely transformational, people in the audience will fall in love with you. And this is what you want, because you're expressing a part of yourself that cannot be expressed through choreography. This part is the most crucial part, I think, of learning belly dancing.
Yeah, it was, I know it's a part that's very difficult to get into at first, but I know once I got into it, that's when you start to prefer improvisation, and you'd rather express yourself than do a choreography. But it also gets back to having the self-confidence, the self-worth, and the self-image, that getting up there doing this, people aren't looking at you like, ha, 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 like they're embracing you, and that it's okay to be you. And that's what one of the things I think with belly dance it does is gets you to be okay with you, so you can go out and express yourself. It's like that cycle, right?
I have one more thing to say, which I didn't express earlier, and that is that the Egyptian people hear the beat of the music very differently from the West. They hear the beat of the music with their chest, or their upper body, rather with their lower body. We in the West hear the beat of the music with our lower body. So we tap the ball of our foot, and we snap down toward the ground, and we drop our chests on these crucial beats, these main beats. When in Egypt and parts of the Middle East, they do completely the opposite. And once you get that into your system, all of a sudden you realize the difference, and something special comes out of yourself when you start doing the dance. It's this entire way that the Egyptians hear and keep the beat of the music, which is so unlike what we hear and keep the beat of the music here in the West.
It's more joyful, I think.
Yes, that's correct. They do express it through their upper body. They even talk that way. They use a lot of their upper body. And in the United States, when we start to teach a shoulder shimmy to the women, they can barely do it. But at the end of the 3-month session, they've got it down pat.
Well, I know one aspect of this is posture. I I always find that is a huge impact with women's self-image and self-worth is their posture when they sit or stand or walk around. Because when you walk with great posture, your shoulders back and your chest up, right? You have incredible command when you walk into a room, right? But I think sometimes we're taught to, and I've seen this with some of my, like with a student I have, and I've seen it with other people too, they get like this. And how can you walk into a room with command and force if you're doing this, right?
With the belly dancing, it's not even something you work on posture. You just work on the dance and the posture happens. This is incredible. I've seen it time and again. They walk in, their rib cage is up, their pelvis is tucked in. It's almost like they come in and they've said, I am this woman that's incredible and I'm powerful and I've done this and this is amazing. And the posture just happens. It's not something you have to walk around with a book on your head. You do this dance and you complete it and you do the performance, and all of a sudden there's like this light that comes off on the top of your head that says, I can do this even better and better. Even if you don't go out and perform for clubs or anything, it's just that it just happens, the posture.
Yeah, and then it becomes part of the stage presence too, right? Which you need to have, which goes back, again, it all goes back to that self-image, self-worth. You're doing a great job. You have better stage presence. You have better posture. It all, like, you're opened up and you take command and control, and the self-image just is off the charts, and everyone can see and feel that, like you were talking about with a woman who might be perceived as overweight or obese or too thin, right? She's too skinny, but she's comfortable with herself, so everyone else is comfortable with it.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. It's an amazing thing. This dance just has turned a lot of women around and taken their lives in a bunch of different directions. It's an amazing thing to watch.
What's one of the best success stories that you've seen with a turnaround, a transformation?
Well, obviously you, Mary, you blow my mind every single time, I talk to you. It's an amazing thing. It's an ongoing thing. It's never, the thing is, it never stops. It just continues. You never stop growing with it. And then, just there's 2 or 3 different other women. One of them, she thinks of herself as really, really heavy, and maybe so, but I don't even see her. She comes to my class and she totally opens up and she's right there in the moment. And I know she walks away with her head held high. I know that she still has a body image that she sees in herself during work hours, but she comes to the restaurant or she comes to my studio and it changes. And then, of course, the other one that had never had a dance class before her in her entire life. And she didn't even think she was going to be doing this performance. But she got out there, she came in, and I told her, don't make your mind up now. Wait till you come to the restaurant that night. Bring your costume. And if you want to, you can do it. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. And she did it. And she was the first one that did it. I was so proud of her. Those were basically you and these 2 other ladies are mostly my success stories.
Well, yeah, because when I started with you, I walked in. I know I had it wasn't great self-esteem. I'll be honest. It was kind of I was going through a lot of life changes. I just came off some depression, and I was kind of like, oh, I'm lucky I can be here. And I remember, you told me later, like you looked at me like, oh no, like how is she going to get through this class? She can barely do anything. And I could barely move. Right. And then I ended up building incredible amounts of confidence.
Yes. And look where you are now. You're incredible.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You're incredible too.
I see that through my students. I don't ever think of myself as that. I just want them to all love themselves. These women are incredible. They're beautiful. They make me, it's emotional. I'll be honest with you when I see the changes.
So Sausan, as a follow-up, I know you have these incredible success stories and you help other women realize who they are and embrace themselves. What keeps you going? Them, basically. The fact that I can continue to do this.
And it really only takes that first class. If they can manage to get through that first class out of a 1-year program, and they accomplish that first class, that class specifically changes their whole entire outlook on this dance, because it doesn't become, it's not ever then a dance that's about body image. It's a dance that's expressionary. It helps you to express yourself. And that first class helps to do that. And that's what keeps me going is them.
Thank you.
Well, we're just at time. So Sausan, thank you so much for joining us today for the conversation. And thank you, Priyanka, for jumping in. This is awesome.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Sausan.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, guys. And so if you guys want to keep the conversation going, we're going to be basically pushing out the video as we got recorded. So this will be live at coffeebreak.InPowerCoaching.com. Should be available later today. And we'll also put this up in the forum so you can continue the conversation there as well. So thanks, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you so much. I've had a great time. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.